Hi, Nanette. Thank you so much for being part of Unbox tomorrow. It's our experience lab where we want to really talk about HR transformation stories from the Philippines and inspire the HR community. I'm so glad that you could make time for this and very thankful also for the partnership that Unilab has with Darwinbox.
Always my
So
pleasure.
making it.
Thank you as well for the opportunity, Vipa. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, and your transformation journey is one which is so full of different dimensions
Right.
that an organization which has a rich legacy of and aspiration to keep the Filipinos healthier. Uh, your transformation has traversed not just systems but has looked at the entire aspect of culture, capability, change. So tell us, how did you start off thinking about this transformation and what led you to these three dimensions being very important?
Mhm. It's also started with, I would say, that the vision of our leader, and saying that this is where we are right now. But if you look at the current market landscape, there's that opportunity for us really to put focus on the growth strategy. And that is where, when we convene as a leadership team and really clearly define what's the growth strategy of the organization. And being there, because I was invited as the HR head of Unilab, I was invited to take part, in that meeting, and brainstorming. And that allowed me really to understand, the needs of the organization when it comes to organization and people. And if you look at the strategy now, the org and people is really one of the enabling, I would say, factor of that growth strategy of the organization. It's very clear Monday, that it's not just about the business, it's not just about the system, but the organization and people is the center of it.
Yeah, and it's a very strong reflection also on the way your new title is, which is the head of people, culture, and learning. It's a very clear signal that it's not just about human resources. We are getting sharper and sharper on all people, culture, and learning. What were your thoughts when you were thinking about what's the next 3 to 5 years of Unilab gonna look like?
Mhm. Right. Well, initially, because when I assumed the role 3 years ago, 3 years ago, the task was okay. It's sort of like look at it, operationalizing it, and seeing, continue to do it. But very core of that is really understanding the vision of the organization. But at that time, it's a mix of understanding or my personal vision also to build the capabilities of the HR teams. It started there. Right? It started there. And then as I work closely with the team, then came the opportunity to see, people, at the same time, and that learning opportunity. And very timely, that was also the time that we're doing the culture transformation. So it was sort of like an opportunity that started with HR. How do we now put that focus in delivering the value to the organization? Because the culture transformation really would enable us to really push forward and put forward that strategy of the organization. It has to happen.
Wow. And for Unilab, I've seen culture, core values. They play a very important part in fabric of the organization.
Right.
Tell
Yeah.
us a bit more about how are you shaping the culture? What are the key aspects of the culture which you want to take forward and uh, keep Unilab's leadership position, strengthen it further as you look at the next 3 to 5 years?
When I assumed the role, it was there. That initiative was there to look at the culture 2.0 transformation. And it's a very good, I would say, start for them to clearly define what is husay and malasakit now? What is bayanihan now? Do people really understand what is husay, malasakit, and bayanihan? So it has to be that opportunity to gather the leaders and some employees to really understand and have that workshop to clearly define what is that and what defines Unilab with these core values of Unilab, that husay, malasakit, and bayanihan, and what would enable really these core values, put into how is it exhibited. Yeah, that's why we clearly define that being a caring organization, a learning oriented and results driven. Very clear, I would say, focus. That's why the learning came in, because before it was all like, it's not just all about husay, it's not just all about malasakit, but how do we bring forward this core values to really, for us really to deliver that vision of the organization.
Wow, and it is. I'm sure this culture has played very important part in keeping you agile as well.
Right.
That's
Yes.
fantastic.
And even the sort of like the behaviors that should go into it, because we also have our, clearly defining, is that us being a professional organization, the meritocracy now is being put in place, accountability, so we've defined all of this, and that focus, so that for employees really to understand, how do I exhibit husay, malasakit, and bayanihan, right? At the same time, we now have our leadership standards, that really defines what a Unilab leader is.
Yeah. I remember when we were shaping the transformation journey, Bayanian played a very important role in defining what Darwinbox will also enable.
And if
Yeah.
we could, if I may, if we could hear even the testimonies of our employees, you would really see or hear from them what that bayanihan is and what is that Unilab culture. Yeah. Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
How's the journey been with Darwinbox?
Okay, interesting, and again, it started with, again, that vision of mine that building the capability of HR, right? But very important would be, it should be enabled by technology, because there's just so much admin and operation stuff. That's why when we get into an engagement with Darwinbox, it's very clear that I want Darwinbox to be at the forefront on how we're going to enable HR for us to be able to deliver that value to the organization. And it was a good, I would say, exercise for HR that allowed them also, when we went to the process reviews, up to the blueprinting, that gave the opportunity really for people like, oh, it can be done. No, because there was that notion there that, oh, because it can be done because that's already the practice. It's just so much ingrained in them that you can change. But I believe that when we went into the Darwin box journey, that allowed us to open up about what can be done and improve our processes. And also allow the team to collaborate more. Because before it was operating like, okay, the COA on this, you take care of this, on this. And that's how we've been doing it. But now we're talking, and it's the Darwin back that allowing us really to collaborate more, and for us that focus to be more efficient and effective in the way we're implementing. That's why everyone's looking forward to it, and hoping that the Darwin box will really deliver, our mission. Yeah.
Fantastic. And having been part of the journey, I must commend the way, the vision which you set for transformation, the key aspects of collaboration, the key aspects of putting employee experience, adoption at law. They've really percolated down to the way the journey has been shaped by both the teams. We are equally excited and looking forward to driving this at
If
Unilab.
I may add also, I think there was a natural realization, because in the middle of it, we're still in the middle of the implant, right? We're doing it. When I was saying, what's the problem? I asked them, because there are some challenges, as you're aware, we have some challenges, right? And I heard it from the team, like, it's not Darwin Box. The Darwin Box team has been very supportive. They're there, they're listening, and so forth. We said, we just need as a team, as an HR team, to really have that more rigor in understanding what our needs are. And I truly appreciate also the support of Darwin Box, because when we sort of like able to really put front about the challenge, Darwin Box was there to help us, to allow us to understand, and that was like, we said, it's not them, it's us. And it's the realization came from the team.
If there's one advice that you'd want to give out there to the community, people who are embarking on their HR transformation journeys, what would that be?
Okay. For me, it's really, I think focus is very important. Focus on what you need to deliver, and that vision has to be very clear. And I would say, find the right team who's going to work with you closely.
focus, and team.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nanette, for making time for this conversation.
Thank you as
We
well.
appreciate the partnership and look forward to scaling new heights with you.
Yeah. Thank you.